2, 1, go.
Dallas and I have been trying to pursue podcasts, but the thicket of everyday life has been getting to us. But still, we want to play some type of societal role, this podcast being our avenue. We've been facing busyness as a hindrance, but we have a willingness and commitment to fulfill this gap, the gap meaning a void within our society. We want to traverse that here this morning.
Okay. Well, that sounds really good. Well, to kick things off, we both got our coffee. We're both drinking Death Wish coffee, which is actually right here. I'll hold it up for you guys. It's pretty good. Mackenzie's been buying it. Mackenzie being my wife, because she became a coffee fiend, and I just drink whatever's there. So anyways, that's what we've been drinking.
I like it. It's good. It's bold. It's delish.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. So today, we're going to talk about being men who stand in the gap of busyness. And just real quick, a man who stands in the gap is just somebody who fills that void of need. That's kind of the most simplest way that I can say it. You know, a person that that steps up, because every man needs to take action. Any real man needs to take action and fill that void, fill that gap. So today, with our topic being busyness, something that we're both struggling with.
Big time.
Yeah, and just trying to, and it's not only just the podcast, it's a whole slew of other things, you know, and just trying to really figure things out. And because we've been in both places before, both of us have. We've been super not busy and lazy, and then we've been so busy, you know, I'm not even getting sleep. And I'm not just saying like, oh, I'm not getting sleep like a teenager because I'm staying up late. Like, I'm actively working on many different things to where I'm going to bed super late. That's what we're talking about. Busyness so much that you can't do the things you need to do. So to really kind of kick things off and get things going, I think it'd be really cool to like give everybody just the kind of backgrounds of like what our lives look like, what we do for work, you know, where we're at in life, and just different stuff like that. And also to just kind of give a little bit more of like an introduction to you and I personally.
Yeah.
Because in our little opener, we didn't really talk about you and I and like our personal lives. So for you, would you just kind of give like a brief history of your life, your work life, and stuff like that?
Yeah, so let's just do this. So currently right now I drive a pump truck. And it's a new business. It's growing. Oh, do you want me to go more into depth about that?
Maybe just a little bit.
All right, so we clean porta potties. So I'll to be on the professional side, everyone asks what I do. I go, I'm a certified waste operator, something like that. You spice it up a little bit. You make it sound good. But yeah, so we clean porta potties. We have one driver, that one driver being me. So it's super tough because when I get routes on an app.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to try and do all of those routes and all those stops. Obviously, by the end of Friday, it always runs over to Saturday. You and I like to do Saturdays on this podcast. Well, that didn't happen this week. We had to push it over a day to Sunday today. So, you know, I remember, so maybe a month ago, we were doing a vacation, 70 hours that week. I mean, that's busy.
Yeah, that's real.
And 3 months back was 60, maybe 60 hours.
Didn't you work like multiple weeks, like multiple 60-hour plus weeks all in a row?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not 60 exactly, but I mean, it was like easily high 50s. And it's hard because being the only driver, you have to get that done.
So real quick, give us just kind of like an estimate of like the amount of stops you make per day, and then how much like each stop kind of as far as time, how long it takes you.
Yeah, so you roll up. It's all residential construction work. So you drive to your stop. You get out and you look at the toilet. Every time they're bad because everyone's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, I service it once a week, so that's how many workers or subs going there each day throughout Monday through Friday. Always bad. So you get out, you look. Okay, it needs toilet paper. It needs to be pumped. The floors are dirty. There's piss everywhere. It's gross. So the first thing I do is fill up a bucket of water.
I'm so glad we're bringing this up on the very first like official podcast.
Oh, we're getting into the nitty gritty. But you do that. You check the toilet paper. You fill that. And while I'm doing that, that 5-gallon bucket of water is being filled.
Mm-hmm.
I unravel all my hoses.
Wait,
And
why are you filling a 5-gallon bucket with
well,
water?
you have to fill up the toilet
Okay.
back. You got to fill it back up because you just need that. So I unravel all the cords, set it all up, and by the time I'm done setting up, that bucket is full now.
Okay. And what cords do you have pulled out?
I have my hose, and then I have the bigger hose, the suction hose, which goes into a 650-gallon tank on the F550.
Mm-hmm.
And non-CDL requirement, which is nice. So I don't have that. So everything's laid out. You start your motor, you pump the toilet, I put everything back, and then I fill it with that 5-gallon bucket, and then I use some type of dye, which kills the bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also non-hazardous
Yeah.
because of that dye.
So how long does that normally take you, just on average? Like if you had to say
3.5 minutes. It's fast.
Okay.
And I started probably at 6. In the last 6 months, I've half that because this is fairly new to me.
Yeah.
This is a fairly new job.
When exactly did you start working this job?
I think October.
October. So this last year, October. So October of 2021.
Correct.
Okay. And before that, you were working with me and Dad.
Yeah, we're doing trim.
So, and then to
Well, hold on. Let me go a little bit further.
Go on.
So, you pump the toilet and now you're off to the next one. Well, I have 3 routes, and it's 40 stops, 90 stops, 40 stops. That's my Monday through Friday. And not always, but Saturday comes and I have to do a little bit of Saturday work. Somebody calls, it's really bad, or my tank is full, so I want a clean, fresh tank for Monday.
Yeah.
And that so all of that is typically Monday through Friday, little bit of Saturday work. But the thing is, so you're trying to get your job done. Well, where's your free time in that? I mean, if you're pulling 60-hour days or weeks rather, that's 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 to 5 or 7 to 7.
Well, then the other thing too is, like, as far as you go in your work, when you hear like a 12-hour day, you think of like working for 12 hours. The other thing is you still have to go pick up the truck. You still have a drive home, get into your personal truck,
Back to the shop to refill the water on the
toilet paper.
Yeah.
And so there's more to it than just like, hey, this is, I drive from here to here to here to here, then I'm done and I go home. It's like there's always, like, as far as work goes, there's always these little in between things that kind of like, yeah, you can get up at 5, but you really don't start working until 6:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
And you don't really count that in your work
maybe
hours.
6.
Yeah, 6 or
Yeah.
whatever. And you lose sight of that as far as like scheduling and stuff like that.
Well, so yeah, let's just say, so on my time card or whatever, it might be 12 hours of work. Well, from home to home, it's what? 14?
Yeah.
13?
Yeah.
Maybe 13 just to be safe.
Yeah.
So you're losing that extra hour right there just from your commute to work, your commute back home, and all that.
Well, another thing that I think, most people, when they're planning out their day or they're thinking about their day or their time or something like that, they never really think about these little things. And one of them might be, I guarantee you the first thing you're doing when you get home is taking a shower.
Oh, 100%.
And you got to find clothes, and that takes a certain amount of time, and that kills your free time that you have. And like for me personally, and we'll kind of get into my stuff now if that's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
So I got out of school, I started working construction, and hockey is a whole different story. We both played hockey growing up, and I was gonna try and go somewhere with it. Long story short, didn't end up working out. So I was kind of like, well, I'll go to college, and I was working at the time, making decent money.
Full-time work, right?
Yeah, I was working full time for Dad.
Yeah.
And Dad told me, he's like, yeah, go to school. And Dad's working for my dad is pretty awesome. It's pretty much like anybody you've ever thought of who works for their.
So your full-time work, full-time school.
I was part-time school. Even
school.
in the beginning when I very first started. And Dad was super cool. He's like, if you have to take a morning class, you can just come in after. So what I did was I think I had one night class and one morning class. And then I'd call Dad at noon when I got out of school, and he'd be like, I don't need you today. I'm almost done. Because Dad gets up at, he's always gotten up early,
Always.
real early, and he's always never taken lunch or breaks or anything like that.
So obviously he doesn't take lunch. You don't take lunch.
No.
I don't take lunch either.
Yeah.
We don't take lunch at work.
Yeah.
It's way too long.
Yeah, and you just, in my mind, like the whole time, if I'm sitting or taking lunch or something like that, I'm sitting there going like, I could be this much further.
Yeah, you're off the grind. Yeah. Is what's happening. You just wasted that 30 minutes or an hour, but let's go back a couple seconds. So that 12-hour workday, then you add your commute to work, your commute back home.
Yeah.
It's the same deal with the lunch.
Yeah.
Same idea.
And then the other thing too is you got that whenever it's about to, and so real quick, when I ended up not working for my dad because I got a better job working for my uncles, and we'd always take lunch at like noontime every single day. And there'd always be this ramp down to lunch. Like everyone would kind of start slowing down when it was getting to lunchtime.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, only 15 more minutes or 20 more minutes or whatever. Then you'd have lunch and everyone would be all, because you eat and then you kind of get tired and everyone's kind of laying around.
Chewing the fat.
Yeah. You know, someone might come up and you start talking and that, you know, lunch lasts a little bit longer. And then you go back to work and then you kind of got to like ramp back up.
Yeah.
So I ended up, you know, quitting working for my dad. I went and worked for my uncles, and I ended up moving to Charleston for a while, working for a couple different people, all construction, like framing, interior trim, painting, all that type of stuff.
We're knuckle draggers.
Yeah.
We like that.
Yeah. And then I ended up moving back to Greer, and then I started working for my uncles again, and then went back to working for my dad. So this whole time, throughout my whole like work life, I'm 27 right now. So for the past 7 years, I've been going to school this whole time. Always.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's taken me a long time. It's ridiculous. I wish I would have just legit, looking back, I wish I would have just done my however many years I needed to do to get done, and then just so I was done with it, because it dragged on for so long. And then, you know, my wife was in school also, which she was in nursing school, which is very involved.
Very, yeah.
And so that always was kind of in the back of my mind. Like her degree was priority. And if I had to take a semester off or whatever, obviously we got married, we built a house. So all that kind of stuff took priority over my school.
So in your current day, what's going on right now? What are you doing for work? What's your schedule? How many hours you putting in, etc.?
Usually, so right now, the way things go is I usually get up around 5 or 5:30 and meet up with Dad. We go to work. We're at work either at 6 or 6:30, somewhere inside there. And we work. I have still have night classes, and I work until either 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, somewhere inside there.
Every day?
Pretty much. This right around inside there every day. And my classes right now are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're from 3:15 to 6. And last semester I was in school 6 to 9:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So a little bit different of a schedule for the summer. But on last semester when I was working, it was I'm getting out of class at 9:30. I'm not getting home till 10. And I have to be up at 5 or 5:30 again. This semester it's been a little bit easier because I can get out of work at 2 and then or 2:30 or whatever, go straight to school. So there's that. I have so those two big things because work is huge, school is big. And then I'm in my my last 3 classes for my engineering degree. And so those classes are very involved. Like it's not math, it's not, you know, history or, you know, it's very, very involved. The homework takes forever. So on the nights that I have off, I do homework and it takes me an hour to 3 hours, somewhere in between there. I also have a kid. So that's
big part of the time right there.
That's super involved. I own a house. So there's maintenance, you know, picking up groceries, this and that, stuff like that. Cutting grass, which I need to do.
So really, since you're a dad, you're not just your whole 24 hours of your day you're working. It doesn't stop anymore.
Yeah, and the thing with being a dad
or a husband even.
Yeah. So those things never stop. But then on top of that, like there's been so much help. Like everyone, all of our families helped out so much and really helped pick up the burden for all this stuff. And then not to mention the other side of things, my wife still works at the hospital full time. So she still works 3 to 4 days out of the week. She works 3 days. She's on call 1 day.
12-hour shifts, right?
12-hour shifts. She don't get home until 8. So if I don't have class that night and my wife is working, her dad takes her dad and her mom take care of the baby throughout the middle of the day, and then I go and pick her up, and then I have the baby from either 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock when my wife gets home. When she gets home, she's trashed. She's ready to go to bed, and me being, or me doing my best to be a good husband, I have to, make sure there's something to eat, make sure make sure she's ready to go to bed when she gets home. And because she's tired, and most of the time she has to work the next day, or our schedules are, filled up or whatever. So there's just no stopping it. And then on top of all that, I run a men's group. So it's one day every other week, but still planning for that and thinking about it. And then we have this podcast. Another avenue I went down is crypto mining. I love crypto mining. I love crypto.
Yeah.
So that's super involved. If you guys want to take a sneak peek of that, I can show you right now. So I literally, if you can see that right there, right here, that's an ASIC crypto miner, and it's in my closet. It's not running right now because it'd be a little bit too loud. And then that right there is an 8-inch exhaust pipe going up into my attic. There's fans up in my attic blowing stuff out my soffit. There's intakes, AC, power supply being all brought in there, sound deadening, whole bunch of stuff. So that's a whole nother thing that I got rolling.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into more of that on another episode or something. So that is also added to my schedule. So as far as recently, I've been running into all these issues where stuff is starting to pile up. And it's just getting more and more difficult to do the things I want to do.
It seems never ending too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
How are you supposed to fight that?
Well,
what are you doing? Are you sleeping less? Are you have all these things on your plate? Are you saying I have to take this off and that off?
Well, yeah. Well, me personally, no, I hate that. Like I can't stand pulling. Like once I put something on my plate, like I want it to stay, and that's probably like.
And you're real good at knowing what you like too.
Well, yeah, but just because I spent the time, and I've lived enough life to like understand, like, hey, this is what I like. I don't like that. And well, one of the big things I really, really loved was gaming. I love that, and it's just like I can't do it. I can't make it fit.
That's long gone out of my schedule now. Easily the past year, maybe 2. It was fun. You get home from work, you get to play. You're too tired now. It's so hard to get back in that groove. And if you do, what do you get? 1 hour or something?
Yeah. Well, now you got to find a match. You got to get warmed up because. Okay. The other thing too is like, I don't want to sound like an ass, but it's like it's not like we really sucked either. We were both decent.
Yeah. Well, we've been PC gaming since a very young age.
Yeah. And so like when you were this good before, and then now you start to play, you kind of suck.
Your fingers are so crushed. You're trying to play and everything you can't.
And we're both competitive too.
It's like cinder block fingers on the keyboard and mouse.
And I would say we both are very competitive. So we want to win. We want to be good. And we know that we were decent in the past. I'm not going to say good. I'll say decent.
Yeah, maybe decent. We'll go there.
And then you're not to your old level, because our old level was putting in a couple hours every day or something like that.
Yeah.
And then now you can't. And it's the same thing with hockey too, because I just started playing hockey again. And it's like
I was supposed to be, but
yeah, you played one game.
Can't. It's tough to fit it in.
And then so you're just like, I'm playing these games, and I'm like, man, I used to be able to skate right by all these people, and now I'm like,
yeah,
my legs are killing me, and I'm like, man, I should really go to like pickup and like try to practice, and but then pickup's on a Saturday, and it's like my wife schedules one of her days on the weekend. She's like, oh hey, I'm working Saturday, you have to take the kid, and I'm like, man,
what falls in line with the podcast?
Yeah. So there's all these things that I want to do, that I'd like to do, but then there's all these things that we have to do. And so what really starts to happen is your schedule it gets overwhelming. It gets to a point where, it's cool for the first little while. Like it's kind of fun for me personally, at least, it's fun to be busy. It's fun to like have something to do all the time, because being bored also sucks. And we've been down that path. If you want to like kind of talk a little bit about us being bored or unmotivated or whatever it was, because we've both been there at the same time when we worked together for dad.
Well, yeah, it's like you have so much time on your hands. So it was kind of that whole COVID deal.
Mm-hmm.
We slowed down a lot. And, as somewhat of a visionary, you know that you want to do something or you need to do something.
Yeah.
So you go to work, you get off early, and you just sit. You
Yeah.
don't do anything. And it's so, I look back on and it was end of, what was it, end of 2019 kind
Yeah.
of?
It was right in the spring of 2020.
Yeah. And then that 2020 came and we slowed down and you had too much time on your hands and you didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. It was always,
It was so weird. It's on the opposite spectrum.
yeah. And so, like, we would get home at noon or something like that. And it would be like, one of the things that I've noticed for me personally is if I have like a lot of time on my hands and I'm not doing something with it, like it's not like planned out for me and I don't do nothing, it's like almost like a snowball in a negative direction.
Yeah.
Like if you get used to coming home and sitting on the couch, like it's going to be that much harder to come home the next day and not sit on the couch.
I mean, how many people do that right now?
Yeah, everybody.
Everyone. The phones, social media,
It's-
games.
That's the easy avenue too.
And you know what I think it is? I think this is with me. I know that I want to do ABC.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the time and I didn't do it. And it's funny that I don't have the time now, but now I want to do it. There's some type of fulfillment that you want to achieve in life. And I think everyone wants that. Everyone has something that they want to do.
Yeah.
And maybe there's people that aren't like that. I don't know, hopefully not. But, there's got to be someone out there that's probably like that. And it just seems you have such a plate that you can load on, but you don't even know where to start.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
You don't even know where to
knowing
start and you get lost and then the time just starts flying by.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is I think a lot of people, they want to do like certain things that are like outside their grasp, I guess you could say. And they don't even know where to start.
Maybe an overwhelming
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, maybe it's overwhelming.
I think
sort
that's
of
with
dream.
me. I think that's me right there.
Yeah, because you always put these like really high, like top shelf
Way too
things.
high standards on everything. It's way up there, and it's bad. It's like that whole modern day philosophy of what's that saying? Like you want everything right away,
Yeah.
and you can't get it.
It's part of the instant gratification. type
Instant
thing.
gratification, and you can't get there. You don't even want to start.
Yeah, and
You
then
don't want to start at the bottom.
and then when there's something that you don't know about, and you're like, oh man, I think everybody can see the end goal. Everyone can always imagine that end goal. That like, oh man, this house if I go and build this awesome house, like it's gonna be so great. And they can see the finished product. They can see playing in the front yard or backyard. They can see going into their nice bathroom and taking a shower, whatever it may be. But what they always don't see or can never imagine correctly is the amount of effort and work it's going to take to get through that.
So the blur, the middle, everything in the middle is just a blur.
Yeah, and it's like not even thought about. It's not even considered. And like one of the things, I'll bring up like live streaming for you, like gaming. Like you're very good at gaming, and we set up like a whole live stream for you. You're very good at gaming. You're good. You played, so you might as well stream if you're playing
Right.
and you're good. And then you kind of started it, and then you kind of fell off. And I remember watching you being like, "Dude, come on!" And you're like, "Well, I only have 3 viewers, so what's the point?"
Yeah, it sucked.
And it's like we'd go on YouTube and you'd see these other gamers out there and stuff, and it'd be like they have hundreds of viewers or hundreds of followers or thousands or whatever, and you're like, "That's where I want to be." And then you
get this demoralizing feeling is what happens.
Yeah. And you really have to be able to kind of like see that coming and then push through it
Yeah.
and like know that, hey, this is just kind of part of the process. And so like one of the things that I learned is that you really just kind of got to start and go and do. And that like just getting inside the groove of doing.
Well, I think too, I had something that I had to really work on was the mindset aspect.
Yeah.
And I could, you see that end goal and everything, but it's this is a little David Goggins. It's the grind that you have to fall in love with, and I wasn't falling in love with the grind.
And well, on that too, it's whenever you look back on certain things, like, okay, for instance, we used to drive to New Hampshire. Like every year we do it multiple times.
Yeah, so 15-hour drive.
It's a 15-hour drive from like Greenville to New Hampshire, and that's where we're originally from. And you do that drive, and I almost like barely remember some of those vacations. Like I definitely remember some of the high points and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of those rides I remember. Like just one, for instance, we were driving up in the wintertime. We got stuck on the highway. The highway got closed down, and it was like me, you, mom, dad, Chloe, our sister, and then our grandparents, all in our Nissan Armada. And the National Guard just shut the highway down. Like I still remember that. That was like
Pissing out the door.
Yeah.
You open up both doors. Yeah, I remember that
like,
now.
I remember the grind, the process of getting to New Hampshire, and then it was just like a big part. And I think like even building my house and the workup and all the things, because that's where you learn the stuff that you need to know.
That's where the character building happens right there. That's the most important part.
So like what you said earlier, you have to like kind of fall in love with that and understand like, hey, this part's gonna suck really bad, but I'm gonna get something from this. Like you are gonna be rewarded with some sort of thing, knowledge, whatever it may be. And so that's huge. I really think that just figuring this stuff out and testing and doing stuff like that is huge. Because for me, and I'll tell a little bit more about my things, is I've been on both sides. I've been on the two extremes multiple times.
Yeah.
I've been on the like I have all this free time, maybe I took a semester off and I don't have anything else to do, especially for the first couple of years that me and my wife were married and she was working because she'd work till late and I'd have nothing to do, or she would work on the weekends and my whole weekend would be wide open, and then you just sit all weekend long and you like don't accomplish anything, you don't get nothing done, and that weekend comes to the end and you're like, I didn't do anything all weekend long. Like I have nothing to show for any of this time. And that's demoralizing. Like when you realize that
wasted time.
Yeah. And then the other, on the flip side of the coin, is kind of where we're at today, with our lives and being busy and wanting to do all this stuff, is you get almost too busy and you're so cluttered and so overworked and underappreciated.
Yeah.
That it's almost like the same feeling, that same demoralization, but it's a total different circumstance. And I think that I picture it kind of like a wave. So you like when you're down low, you have all this time, you don't do nothing with it, and then you're like, okay, that's not good. So then you shoot way high up. And you're like, okay, now I'm so busy, now this sucks, and you're demoralized. And you kind of have to keep bouncing off those extremes to kind of then like level yourself out and find out like, okay, this is where I need to be. This is good for me. And I kind of want to flip over and talk about something real quick that you're really good at, is relaxing.
Love it.
Because
man, do I love it. Love it too much.
Because that is also a necessity. So what do you, as far as being busy but also needing relaxation or whatever, like can you just give me your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well the thing is when you like to, so Dallas hates going to the beach and sitting there, right? Can I say that?
Yeah, I hate that.
See, I love it. But the thing is I got to a point where I like that feeling way too much, that complacency. And the thing is so nowadays is what I try and do, and if not, I maybe don't try it enough, but I'm at least getting better at it, and that's something. So my last vacation, we went to the beach maybe a month ago or so, and that was my 70-hour work week, and I did that because I finished my routes on like Thursday or something. No. I think I finished on Friday, and then I worked a full day Saturday, and those were like 12, 13, 14-hour days.
Yeah.
And then I went on that vacation, went to the beach, and I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to relax and and just absolutely do nothing.
it, it's a totally different story too when you like you put in this time and effort and you are busy and then you consciously know like, okay, I need to relax and I'm gonna consciously make the effort to relax.
It was like a reward,
Yeah.
is what it was, and I needed it, and I needed it so bad. And I came back that next week with some fire.
Yeah.
And it's like you want it now. It's like, okay, I got that out of my system, and let's get right back to the grind.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it. And I those long days were right after continue on because now I'm a little bit behind again.
Mm-hmm.
So I got right back to it, and then it was like it was kind of nice being back at work again.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the thing. So, but before all that, it wasn't a reward. It was just complacency and
Yeah,
and
it's-
a feeling of stuck, or we like to say doing burnouts in life.
Yeah. It was a
You're-
habit.
Yeah, you're just your tires are spinning, but you're not moving.
Yeah. For me, as far as relaxation, I like because it's definitely you need it.
Yeah, you do need it.
You have
do
to
need
have
it.
it.
You need to shut stuff off.
Yeah. And so the way that my brain works is so whack. I need to like physically do something that makes me forget about everything else. So like I can't just go sit on the couch and take a nap because I know that every time I do that, I wake up and I'm like 2 hours went by, I slept on the couch. And I can't help it but be kind of like mad at myself.
Yeah.
So for me, I almost need to do something where I can start forgetting, like getting outside of my own head. So one of those things for me would be like playing a game or whatever,
Or maybe working out.
or working out.
Yeah.
So working out, which as far as relaxation is different, but it's relaxation from my own head.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah.
It allows me to like focus super intently on this one task that I'm doing right this moment
That you enjoy doing.
that I enjoy doing,
Yeah.
and it makes all it like puts blinders on you.
Mm.
It makes everything else like fade away. It makes me forget about the little petty like, oh crap, I got to remember about that bill. I got to pay that thing. Okay, I got to go pick the baby up. I have to go, all these have to do's things, oh my gosh, this week is going to be really busy. All that stuff like fades away. So like working out is huge for me. And a lot of people would never even think of that. They think of working out, they think of pushing themselves and sweating and grunting and hard work.
Right.
For me, it's like mental relaxation. It allows my brain to kind of like untangle itself.
Yeah. Well, it's like I think getting out and exerting yourself is good. And that getting your heart rate up high and everything like that. It's just, I don't know, it's a good feeling.
That'll be a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, we'll have to get into that.
That'll be really fun. Another thing is gaming. Like it's just I can sit down, so I'm actually kind of resting my body, and then my mind, like I get those blinders again, and like my mind can kind of like let go of all these other things, and I can like take myself and put myself into this other world, and I don't have to be playing like online multiplayer. Like I like, if you guys have ever played it, like Age of Empires and Red Alerts, like
Classics.
what are those games called? Like those genre of games? Like it's like you're over like in the sky looking down.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what those are called.
I don't know. I can't remember.
They're like it's like strategy games. I guess you could say it's like that's what comes to mind. But it's just they're really old games, like games I played when I was a kid. And so like I can just play those and just kind of forget about everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows me to just kind of relax. So that's what I do personally. And I didn't just figure that out either. Like it's not just like like, oh hey, this is what I need to do to relax and feel better and untangle my own brain. It's that like it's trial and error stuff. It's that stuff that I've learned like along the way.
Yeah.
And so to kind of like pivot a little bit and just because we recognize that this is an issue, right? The issue of not being busy and having too much time is kind of goes hand in hand a little bit with this. But the biggest thing is recognizing that there is kind of an issue. And I'll give you like a little bit of just something that like pricked my own brain the other day. Is like I got home and our garage goes right into our laundry room, and then it goes into our house. And I open up the door, and my wife had done all the laundry. She had folded all my clothes, and they're all sitting there. And I looked at them, and I'm like, I should really put those away. I'm just like, nah, I'll do it later. And then
That's the term that just kills you right there.
yeah,
I'll do it later.
yeah.
That's something I'm real good at.
And then, I walk in the next day. They're still sitting there folded, all nice, neat. And you're like, no, I'll do it later. And it just keeps, so like the second or third time I did that, I'm like, okay, like I have an issue. Like this is not healthy to keep doing this. So I had to recognize that there's an issue there. And I'm like, okay, what's the issue? The issue is I'm walking into my door and I'm like, I have to do all these things. Like my mind is so like, okay, I have to do this. I have the schoolwork I have to do. I probably have to do the dishes also. And then I have to do this. And then, got to help my wife with the baby. I have to make sure all these things that like I look at something that's kind of a necessity. Like the clothes can't sit on the freaking washer and dryer for long.
Yeah.
Because that just creates more clutter and more, annoyance. But I'm like, I can't even entertain the thought of putting that stuff away because I am so stressed and demoralized and busy. And so the biggest thing is recognizing that issue. And then once you can recognize an issue, which is a huge part that I think a lot of people,
the biggest part.
yeah, like people don't ever notice that. And, I've always said this, and I think it's super important is to like watch yourself, really watch how your own brain works, watch how you act in certain situations and stuff like that.
How about that? Like that Age of Empires, you're up above yourself watching.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, maybe.
So you recognizing the issue or recognizing your busyness or your laziness or whatever is the thing. You have to recognize it and like bring it to the forefront. And then there's, okay, what do you do about this? So just in the past for you personally, or like now recently, because you have this crazy work schedule and now you just added something else on top of that. I don't know if you want to say what that other thing may be.
Maybe we'll wait.
Okay.
We can get to that to a later point.
You added that other thing on top of it, which now takes up more time. So how have you tried to deal with this? What are some of the things that you've done to try and deal with this crazy schedule and stuff like that?
It's probably not the right way of going about it, but there is some good to come out of it as well. Grind harder. That's what it's been.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you got that whole Monday through Friday work schedule. Well, my weekends are now taken up. And I try and push it even harder. And I have, I got a couple people telling me, it's like, well, what's the point of even doing that? You're working yourself to a nub.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't look at it that way. It is happening. Someone else that's looking at me is seeing it happening, seeing that happen. But I am saying I'm pushing the boundaries of what I can do and what I can find out about myself.
Well, that's a whole nother thing is figuring out how hard you can push yourself.
Yeah, because those lazy days, you get home early or something and you don't want to do anything and you're thinking, I can't, I don't even want to do anything. Well, now in such a state of grinding or pushing yourself, you find out that you can do way more than what you actually think you can do.
Yeah, if you can just, push yourself over that hump. And so that's a huge thing, figuring out that you can push harder or do a little bit more. And so I wouldn't necessarily say like all together, as a whole, you can't,
Yeah.
we're busy. We're already at that stage of your life is busy. You're running into these issues
And you're going to get more busy.
but it's this part of it is you're not trying to add more stuff onto your plate. You're trying to work harder with the time that you already have.
Yeah.
So like
utilize it to the best of your ability.
Becoming more efficient.
Yeah.
That's huge. And so another thing that I like to do, and that totally like redid things for me. I don't know how else to say it, but is I started like planning and writing stuff down. That was
how about a renewal of yourself?
Yeah. And I didn't come up with that crap. My wife she is the scheduler. She is so like pretty type A. Like she has her notebook with her schedule in it and everything gets written down. And when we first got married, I was so much like fly by the seat of your pants, whatever, we'll take care of that when it comes, just really in the moment type. And you start adding all these things to like when you're a kid, you can do that.
Yeah.
you have this freedom to just really do that, because there's so many things that you don't even have to think about. You don't have to think about a mortgage, or you don't have to think about a car payment or insurances, or, all these. It's not just bills and money stuff, but,
Right.
like cutting your grass or making sure your house is vacuumed, or,
How about the new age term adulting?
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's all these adulting things that you just don't have to think about. So you can, if you choose to live your life, in the moment, you can totally do that. I'm not saying as an adult you can't live in the moment, because that's huge too, to be able to kind of enjoy certain times. But just for this topic is, you can't just do things all in the moment when you're this busy. So for me, it was writing stuff down. And just for like a real quick example, I have this notebook, right? And I have all, these pages are all filled with stuff that I write. You guys can't really see it, so I'll hold it a little bit closer. Like right there, you look at all that. I'm not a good writer, and I forget things all the time. So one thing that I started trying and practicing is writing stuff down. Right behind me, right here, you guys can't see it, is a massive whiteboard. I have three whiteboards.
We like whiteboards.
I have three whiteboards in my house right now. There's two in my garage, and there's one behind me in my office. And on that whiteboard right now, I'll just kind of give you a quick example. It's just my little to-do list. And I just write these things all the time. And then I check them off. And sometimes I try to do them, quickly. Sometimes they're up there for a while, but they're there. They're written down. I see them. So real quick, like I have clean the car, clean the house, seed the yard, work out, turn in late homework, set up my classes, install AC pipe, install 8-inch intake pipe, do a podcast, study, clean office, rest as much as possible, get a YouTube video up for my minor, laundry, schedule bills. So that's just like one of the things that I started doing, was writing stuff down. That was huge for me. And I kind of bled over into Dex's type stuff too, because now he has a whiteboard in his bedroom.
Yeah.
So how, just as far as that, like that simple thing, just give us, I don't know, did that give you peace of mind? Did it help? Did it not help?
It's about having something in front of your face that you can see it every day.
Yeah.
And that's what the whiteboard really helped with me. So for me was I was tracking my weight on it. I don't go as in depth as you do. I probably should. Maybe I'll adopt that in the near future here. So I was writing my weight down. Yeah. And I think we were doing the carnivore diet. I was doing a little bit cheating, more of a cheating type. I think we had talked about it earlier. So I was writing down my weight every couple days, and I was seeing the progression. And like you had said, you have your check marks there on things that are done. You're seeing improvements or stuff that is helping, or you're getting the work done.
Yeah.
You're getting it down on paper in front of your eyes.
And that's another part of that. So we talked about snowballing in a negative direction. That's something that could help you snowball into a positive direction. Like being able to, like, oh, hey, I had 10 things on my to-do list, or 10 things I had to get done. I've done 5 of them. I'm halfway done. I'm halfway through. I already did some of the hard ones, or whatever. And it allows your brain to be able to, like, okay, I'm getting this ball rolling. I'm actually getting somewhere. And so that's one of the things that I've done, and I love it. It helps me out so much. I don't write on that every single week. I don't even look at it necessarily every single day, but it's there.
Yeah, and I think one of my other ones was a shift of my mind.
Yeah,
that's what it was. I think just to get busy on something, and then pursue it and go after it. And I think just a renewal of my mind kind of really helped with that.
Yeah.
So yours might have been something physical. Mine was something a little bit more internally that kind of helped.
Yeah, and the other thing with anything that we might talk about for like a possible solution or something you can do or try is, to combat busyness, is all these things they're just tools.
Yeah.
And at the very end of the day, you have to do them.
And you have to utilize it.
Exactly. Because if you're not utilizing the things, then you are never, like, you can't, there is no just like, quick pill fix type thing. And it's consistency also. I've had that whiteboard for 6 months. It's not like my life is a million times better, but it's just one of those other little things, those little snowballs to just become a little bit better, a little bit, a little bit more organized. And that's another thing that's huge.
Yeah.
Because you've been more of that person than I've ever been. That more like organized type person. You like, for example, your truck is always pretty much clean, right?
Yeah, as of recently, it's probably been a little bit
For the most part.
slacked, but yeah, for the most part, I'd say.
And okay, real quick, I'll make the perfect example as far as organization from you to me, comparing ourselves. We have the exact same desk with our PCs on them. All your drawers are like, there's really not that much in them. They're kind of clean. You know what I mean?
I don't like a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not a clutter guy.
Yeah, you're not like I would say you're not really a sentimental. What's the word for that? Everyone always says, like you don't like little trinkets.
No.
You're not a trinket person.
No.
I'm like, grab,
Yeah.
like I just have like little trinkets and dumb stuff, and all my drawers are filled with like just. I know I have something cool. I have like rings and knives, and like all my drawers. I spent a couple weeks ago, because organization for me now is huge. I'm trying to organize as much as I can, and that writing this stuff down on my whiteboard or in my notebook, whatever, that's part of organization too. But I think I spent like 2 or 2.5 hours one weekend cleaning out just this section of drawers.
That's some sacred time just for a couple drawers right there.
But for me, it's for me, and as far as time and busyness and all that stuff goes, I open up a drawer. If I open up a drawer, I need something. And usually I need a pen. And so I open up my drawer and I'm digging through all this crap.
Mine are in the same spot every time.
Yeah, and I can't find one. So I'm like multiple drawers, looking through them, trying to find a pen, and I couldn't freaking find one. I'm like, okay, like this is gonna end, because now I'm just wasting time running around looking for like the simplest things. And I've always, I remember one time I had to use a crayon to write something down. Write a thought down.
Well, here's the thing too. So I can't remember what it was. Command strips.
Yeah.
You have these things on hand. I needed them.
Yeah.
I didn't have them. So I came to you and you had some. So
I actually have a command strip drawer.
yeah, you might have a little bit more of a clutter than me, but you have stuff on hand, which is nice.
Yeah. And so usually, or in the past, like that stuff would have been like in a basket somewhere on a shelf or whatever. Now they're at least in drawers.
Yeah.
Like I at least have a drawer for command strips. I also have a drawer all for stickers. I'm pretty proud of that. Thing is just
Collection.
It's just a collection of stickers. I love that so much though. But that organization is massive. Like just having things where they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And organizing things, organizing your house. Jordan Peterson always says clean your room. That's a great place to start, even no matter who you are.
Make your bed.
Make your bed.
I struggle with that.
And those things are huge. So if you're younger, like a younger person, like organizing or cleaning your room, that's like a super simple thing that you can get started to like get the ball rolling. Because then once you have something organized, it's way easier to keep it that way.
What is I can't remember who said it, but it was like if you give yourself 30 days to clean your room, it's going to take you 29 days.
Yeah.
If you give yourself 3 hours, you'll do it in those 3 hours.
I never thought about that, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, so give yourself some parameters. And when you give yourself those certain parameters, you can get things done. And then in the long run, you're looking at how busy you are and all that. And then you can, you give yourself the 3 hours. Well, now you have, however long to do everything else that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, that stuff just piles and piles and piles and piles on top of each other.
Yeah, and then so we kind of talked about organization. We talked about writing stuff down, and writing stuff down will help you memorize things and all that stuff too,
Which is huge.
Yeah,
memorization is awesome.
And so I kind of forgot where I was going to go with that now. We talked about the effort as far as the solution. So effort. We talked about writing stuff down, notebooks, whiteboards. We talked about organization, and then scheduling.
Mm.
Scheduling is the next like really big thing to kind of tack on to like a busyness. And I've heard it said once, this is also from Jordan Peterson. If you haven't know, I love that dude. I take a lot of his stuff. But it's not necessarily scheduling stuff that you have to do, right? And this can just be mental scheduling. Like that's mostly what I do.
Yeah.
I do use my Google app with my calendar. I've started using that a lot more. But even just in your own head, it's not only scheduling all these things that you have to do, but it's also scheduling in things that you want to do,
Yeah.
right? And I actually thought of this really, really cool thing today. I'm so happy I just remembered this actually. But you schedule all these things that you want to do, right? And so that you can like, okay, I want to go and do this. Like this is something I want to go and play some games. I want to go and work out. And you can kind of build your day or build whatever your free time may be. Maybe it's the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and you can kind of build your day around that. And that's a great starting place. So instead of starting off with, I have to do all these things, you can build your schedule around, I want to go and do this. Now, how do I schedule and build my day around that particular thing?
Yeah, I like that.
So, like, I always, when I'm at work, I always think about, like, oh man, what do I want to do when I get home? And I'm like, oh, I'd really love to go and work out. That's one of the things. I'm like, well, if I bust my butt right now at work, I can be done. And then when I get home, I'll get home around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock.
So like a
whatever.
reward.
Yeah, it's like a reward. And then it'll motivate you. It'll help you get some things done. And so I love that. But what I wanted to tell you about, I can't believe I remembered this. So in your head, think about 3 things that are productive and think about 3 things that are fun. Right?
3 things that are productive
Yep.
and 3 things that are fun.
Yep.
Well, what are yours?
No, I need you to. I'll go next, but I need you to go first because there's it's like a bait and switch at the end. I'm telling
Something
you,
something that makes you productive throughout your day.
no, just give me 3 things that you could do or that you do that are productive.
Okay, what about getting up in the morning?
Yep, that's great. Okay, give me another thing that's
So-
productive.
So getting your day started. Every day I go to the coffee thing and get a cup of coffee going.
Okay, give me one more thing that's
So
productive.
the caffeine kind of helps me start. Looking at my app and knowing how much work I have to do so I can see it physically and I
Mhm.
have a start point and an end point.
Visualizing your route and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 3 productive things. Now I want you to ramble off 3 to 5 things that are fun that you look forward to doing, that you enjoy doing, that you love doing. 3 things that are fun.
I'm not that fun though.
But just whatever.
Okay,
It can be stuff we talked about.
Okay, so how about playing hockey?
Yep.
That's fun.
Okay.
I would say gaming, but I don't do it anymore. So
Okay.
it's like I don't know if I really would say that.
Okay, but that's just some.
How about calling people on the phone?
Yeah, that's
I
the
like
one.
I like doing that. That's good. Something that I like.
It can be, and it doesn't even have to be things that are fun to you. It can just be things that are fun generally.
Getting home from work is always kind of nice.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't know.
Okay, so I'll huck a couple in there too, right? Because I did this to my own
How
self.
about this podcast? This
Yeah,
is fun.
This is fun. Okay, I like that. I love making videos. That's fun. I like hanging out with my wife and doing stuff. For whatever reason, whenever I think about fun, I think about mini golf. I don't know why. That's what always pops in my head.
Yeah, it's always fun.
I don't know why. But
Okay. Some type of activity, going somewhere.
yeah.
I like doing that.
Okay.
So there's another one.
So, sure. Give me some activities that are fun, and we're gonna go past the 5, the 5 limit I gave you. But do this test on yourself and do it on other people. So as you're listening to this, think of 3 productive things. Think of 3 to 5 things that are actually fun. And when I say actually fun, I mean like things you enjoy doing or things that other people might enjoy doing that are activities, stuff like that. Vacation would be one of them.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. There's so we kind of threw out a couple of examples. Gaming would be one for me, which I think some other things. Working out is another one. I love riding bikes. I used to ride mountain bikes all the time. I love that. playing hockey. What else is there? I love working on cars,
Yeah.
going for long drives. So that was always fun. We used to do that.
Yeah.
Listen to music, you know. Okay, so here's the bait and switch at the end. So once you have all those things in your head, right? And please, if you want to do this test on somebody else, okay? Nobody, or at least you and I, nobody said sitting on the couch looking at their phone and scrolling,
Yeah.
right? Nobody said that. Or I'm gonna make the assumption that nobody that was part of their, oh, this is fun. You know, this is something fun to do. Okay. I'm guaranteeing if and especially if I said like if I said pick 100 things that are fun, that might come up there. You know, sitting on the couch hanging out, that might be in there, right? But if I say limit it to 3 or 5, people are going to be like, "Oh, I love going swimming. I love going to the pool. That's fun. I like doing this or that." No one is ever going to be like, "I love sitting on the couch wasting 3 hours scrolling through TikTok."
But yet we find ourselves doing that the most.
Exactly. Everyone always is like, for example, we had a couple people over the other night, and I was thinking I was putting the baby to sleep, and we have 3 people who are all pretty close, you know.
I was one of them.
And I walk into the room, and everyone is sitting, you know, in the living room in different spots,
Dispersed.
and it was, you could hear a freaking mouse pee on cotton in there because everyone's just, and I'm like,
All right, before I get thrown under the bus too much, what did I do just when I got here?
I don't know, tell me.
Deleted Instagram.
Hey, there you go.
kind of had said that, and I'm like, I think it's time to get rid of it.
Yeah. Or what is
Because
it?
I think that's what I was doing, actually. I think I was doing that.
And then, or the other thing, and so if you don't want to totally delete it, because deleting it's hard. Like, I don't know why, but it is hard. Start off by turning the notifications off. So something else that you said you did.
Yeah, I did that first.
Shutting off certain notifications.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's right when you deleted it? What's the next thing you did?
I click on it.
Yeah,
It's
you
like ingrained in my mind to do that.
And so that is another huge thing to, as far as being busy, is to, I think we had talked about earlier, like cutting out social media, but it's cutting out things that are like super, they have like almost no point to them.
Something like monogamous.
Yeah.
Or something. Monotonous. Yeah, there you go.
And so just to put it simply, it's like delete social media. Do you really need Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok?
There's someone out there probably that runs their business, some type of business through that.
Yeah,
and that's, I think that's fine.
And that's a whole different conversation. But like, I don't know, like because I really do try to watch myself, and I really do try to watch how I react to certain things. And I would come home and TikTok was just so freaking easy to just sit there. Like, it would suck you in, and it would like, it was almost like someone pushed fast forward on time.
Yeah.
And you just like, you get done, and it's, I would really get the effect. I don't know if you ever got this, but I'd really get the effect of like, you pull your head, okay, you're like, okay, I'm done. And you pull your head off, and it's like almost like you you break out of this barrier, and you're like back into real life. Like, I would always get that weird feeling like you were like, you're so focused in on this phone and on swiping, and you finally stop, and you're like, ugh, and you like wake up. And I would always do that. I'm like, okay, that's not normal. Like, that can't be good.
Right.
And I would always catch myself, and I'm like, after that, again, I was watching myself, so I knew how I was reacting to these things. And I'm like, okay, it's gotta go. Like, I can't do this anymore. So it was gone, and then eventually, that was, I don't know, a year ago or whatever. And then after that, I was kind of like, I'm so sick of these notifications. They're always popping up, and it's like, oh, friend suggestion. And the thing that was weird is I'd get this like random friend suggestion or something. I could give two shits about the friend suggestion, but I'd like, oh, I wonder if there's anything to like click on to scroll on. And I'd click on it and be like, I want to scroll. And then I'd catch myself doing it like the most weird times. You know, I'd be like at work, like about to start doing something. I'd be like, 30 seconds of scrolling would be fine. And then when you look at a big picture, like, it's in the moment, it seems so like unnegative or not negative. But then when you look at it like the big picture, it's like you just wasted like 20 minutes just looking at nothing that you're ever going to really
that
remember.
30 seconds turned into 20 minutes
Yeah.
real fast. Maybe 2 hours even.
And
for
so
some.
that is one of those things that's just massive, I think, to really
Get a grip.
get a grip on it, be better.
Yeah.
You don't have to be extreme like me and just be like, okay, I'm done with this, and delete it. But getting a handle on it, and maybe it's not deleting it. Maybe it's like limiting your time, like mentally. It doesn't even have to be this big extreme thing. Just be like, okay, I'm sitting here, I've been scrolling for 5 minutes or looking at this for 5 minutes. Okay, it's time for me to stop. Then I'm going to look to the person sitting beside me and like try to actually talk to them.
Yeah.
And one of the things that pisses me off the most, I don't know why, this is just a pet peeve with me, but it's like, I love movies. We love movies.
Yeah.
Stuff. And you're like, I love movies. And then you go to watch them with people and you're like, oh, like, because you can have seen a movie multiple times, right? And you've seen this movie many times, but then when you go to watch it with somebody who like hasn't watched it at all,
You're staring at them, waiting for what they
you're like,
have.
ooh, like, oh, this part's coming up.
Yeah,
Like, oh man, I don't know how they're gonna react to this. And you look over and they're just like, and I'm like, no, like we all agreed to come here and watch this, and then nobody watches it, and it's kind of like, why did I even ask them to come here and watch this?
Yeah.
Like what's that is, I don't know why it's just such a pet peeve for me. And I'm not saying like if you come to my house and you come and we're watching a movie or something, you have to watch it. You can't look at your phone, but I'm just like,
it takes the aspect of, everyone is in agreement. So, okay, let's go over to Alice's house, or let's watch a movie. And then you find that everyone is sitting on their phone. It kills the whole, whatever.
Kills the vibe.
Yeah.
And so it's just personally, it's just one of my pet peeves. I mean, for me, okay, have you ever went to a movie theater? It's like you get looked down upon if you like somebody sees a phone light.
Yeah.
Because everyone at that theater paid money to be there. You know what I mean? So everyone's there for a purpose. Well, when people come to your house, it's obviously they're not paying to come there, but there's like this agreement that like, hey, we're gonna come over, we're gonna watch a movie. And then maybe people aren't into the movie, and like I get all that, but it's like at least try to make an effort type thing. At least try to enjoy it, and get something from it, or at least have the time together. Because, and I remember one of my uncles always saying this. He said, he's like, I love going to the movies with so and so because, we leave the movie theater and we're just, we're chatting about the movie and like, oh, did you see this part? And we're talking about that part and what that might have meant and this and that. And like, that's all part of the experience too. And one of the things that we always do is we love hitting up the movie quotes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we're always referencing certain movies or whatever it may be.
It'll come out eventually.
Yeah. And like, if you don't watch it, you don't get none of that. And then you don't get to build those little inside jokes and stuff like that. So kind of, just like in closing, I think it's huge. Just recognize it, just recognizing this. That's one of the big major things, to take away from all this. If you don't take anything else away, recognizing issues in your own life, that's massive. If you can do that, you at least got your foot in the door. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
And then the other thing is, it's not fixing all these, issues or little things. It's not fixing them today. It's not even fixing them tomorrow or next week. It's over time just getting a little bit better. Maybe for the first year of, trying to fix your busyness or your laziness, whatever it may be, is just recognizing when it's happening. Because if you can do that, that's huge. And then it's just little small percentages as you go, just fixing these little tiny things as you go and being, 1% better each day or half a percent better each day.
Let's go here real quick. So I can't remember where I got it from, but there was a biking team, and it was an Olympic team, I believe, or at least something along the lines of that. And they were horrid. They were terrible. They were getting last place, all these races and whatnot. So they hired a new coach or trainer or something like that. And his thing wasn't to work harder or to get better right away. It was each day they were going to get a very small percentage better. And that was changing the tubes on their tires, or what's the uniform that they wear, that kind
Like
of
that
tight.
spandex suit or something.
Yeah, they changed that to a thinner material. Maybe they changed up the seats to be slightly more comfortable. And throughout the whole year, or maybe it was even like 5 years, they wanted to get just ever so slightly better each time. And in doing that, maybe it was like they even slept a little bit more or
Mm-hmm.
something. It was ever so slightly, and they ended up being a big contender. And I believe it was the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
and they were top tier contender after that. So that's kind of goes hand in hand with just little increments at a time. Get better and get better and get better. And I may have butchered that, but it was something along the lines of that.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And that's kind of the way that you gotta you gotta look at certain things. And you can't revolutionize yourself in a day. Shit, I don't even think you can revolutionize yourself in a year.
Probably not.
Like these things take time, but it's just that consistent effort. That's another thing though. Even with that example, right? It wasn't this it was consistently over time. That's another big part of all of it. Just being consistent over time. And you'll hear these you know genres of solutions kind of come up and stuff like that a lot in this podcast. And because that's what we really try to like live our lives by, is a lot of these big major things that we figured out. And some of the things we figured out on our own, and some of the things we learned about and then implemented into our own life.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, like, I'm gonna be busy for the next little while, right? And my busyness and my scheduling, it's not gonna be solved right away. It's gonna take me time, and I'm gonna forget things, and I'm gonna be late on things, or I'm not gonna get things done. But it's I'm putting forth this effort to be better. And you know what? Maybe in like a year, right? Maybe a year from now, when my degree is done with and I have all this free time, I'm probably gonna go right back into the other extreme and be sitting and doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just gonna be okay. Well, this is another season of life that I gotta recognize and get better at. And so it's not being perfect at all, but that's why we have the conversation. It's to be, have the knowledge so that it's there, so you can utilize it when you need it. It's not like, hey, my life is fixed and now I'm going to be happy forever. I'm never going to have like this crazy busy schedule ever again. It's just because these things they're always going to pop up and come back and forth in your life. And it's just really recognizing them and being like, I think so. And we'll end with this. I think the biggest thing is it's not fixing your life or fixing the issue forever. It's just becoming more efficient and dealing with it when it pops up. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I like that.
And with that, we'll kind of just close and we'll sign off. And thank you guys for whoever checked into our podcast. If you want to, subscribe, like, comment. We'd love to hear what you guys think. And I hope
Give
you
us
guys
some shares. We need it.
Yeah, some shares would help out a lot. And I think the YouTube algorithm now it's more, because everyone will always say, hey, like this, smash the like button. I think YouTube is moving over a little bit more to share. So people who share it externally, like they'll share the YouTube videos, that's becoming more it's better for the algorithm, I guess, or whatever. But anyways, we love it. We thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Hope you have an awesome week. Bye.
Cheers.